Mayor, the story begins in a bustling coffee shop, a favorite local spot known for its inviting atmosphere and welcoming ambiance. On this particular afternoon, the shop is filled with the usual hum of conversation, the sound of coffee cups clinking, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. It's a day like any other, with patrons coming and going, settling into their spots to sip their drinks, work on their laptops, or simply catch up with friends. Among the crowd is Sarah, a young mother who has taken a break from her busy schedule to relax and feed her baby. Sitting in a quiet corner of the cafe, Sarah's baby is nestled in her arms, breastfeeding peacefully. As a mother, she cherishes these small moments, opportunities to bond with her child and enjoy some time away from the hustle of daily life. She's aware of the people around her, but she's not expecting any confrontation. For her, breastfeeding in public is nothing unusual, as it should be. It's a natural act, one that she's been doing for months now. But then, a sharp voice cuts through the gentle hum of the cafe. An older man, sitting a few tables away, turns to Sarah with a look of disdain. His voice grows louder, and the cafe patrons begin to notice his irritation. "You can't do that here," the man says with a harsh tone. "It's inappropriate to breastfeed in public. Go find a private place if you must." His words are sharp and unexpected, causing Sarah to freeze. She feels the heat rise in her cheeks, her stomach turning with discomfort. The other customers begin to look at Sarah, some uncomfortably, others with visible judgment. Sarah's sense of privacy is shattered, and she feels her heart race as the man continues to voice his disapproval, his words growing more critical with each passing second. As Sarah gathers her things to leave, feeling humiliated, something unexpected happens. A calm voice breaks through the tension. Elon Musk, who has been sitting nearby, stands up. His presence, though quiet, commands attention, and the entire cafe seems to turn toward him. Without a hint of hesitation, Elon steps in and challenges the older man's cruel words, surprising everyone, including Sarah. The coffee shop is an oasis of calm in the middle of a bustling city. People come to escape the daily grind, seeking a place to relax, refuel, and unwind. The cozy, dimly lit atmosphere is complemented by the pleasant aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of indie music playing in the background. The walls are lined with colorful paintings, and local artists' works are proudly displayed, contributing to the warm and inviting vibe. For Sarah, this coffee shop is a place of comfort. As a mother, she enjoys taking a break from her daily responsibilities, whether it's running errands, attending to her children, or dealing with the demands of work. On this day, she's taken her baby with her for a short outing, and after placing her order, she settles into a corner table. She's content, focused on her baby, and feeling at peace in the familiar surroundings. It's a typical weekday afternoon, with the usual patrons scattered throughout the cafe. Some are working, others are enjoying a quiet conversation, and a few are simply passing time with a good book or magazine. Everyone seems absorbed in their own world, unaware of the drama unfolding. Sarah, like many mothers before her, doesn't think twice about breastfeeding her child in public. It's natural, it's healthy, and it's her right. As Sarah's baby feeds, she notices the occasional glance from people passing by. But mostly she feels undisturbed. She's used to this routine by now, understanding that there will always be some people who disapprove, but she's not bothered by it. What she doesn't expect is the outburst from the older man. His words sting more than she anticipated, and she begins to feel exposed, the warmth of the cafe now replaced by a sense of discomfort. It's in this moment of vulnerability that the unexpected intervention occurs, setting the stage for a larger conversation about public decency, respect, and the rights of mothers. The older man, whose face is red with irritation, continues to make loud remarks. "It's inappropriate," he repeats. "What do you think you're doing, feeding your baby like this in front of everyone?" His tone is not just critical, it's accusatory. He seems to believe that his disapproval is somehow justified, that he has the right to dictate what others can and cannot do in a public space. His comments begin to gain attention as he continues to speak over the murmur of the cafe. As Sarah listens, her chest tightens with a mixture of confusion, embarrassment, and anger. She's never been one to shy away from a challenge, but she didn't expect to be challenged in this way while simply feeding her child. The louder the man gets, the more Sarah feels the eyes of the room on her. Some patrons glance at one another awkwardly, unsure whether to step in, while others turn their attention to Sarah, their eyes shifting between her and the critic. The man's words become louder, more forceful, and Sarah starts to feel like she's being pushed into a corner. For a moment, she thinks about packing up and leaving. It's the easiest choice, the one that would end the uncomfortable scene. But then something inside her stirs. She reminds herself that breastfeeding is not a crime, and that her child deserves nourishment regardless of where she happens to be. However, before she can gather her thoughts and respond, the room is interrupted by a voice from the other side of the cafe. As Sarah prepares to gather her things, the critic's words continue to weigh heavily on her. She feels her throat tighten, and her hands tremble slightly as she folds up the blanket and picks up her bag. There's an overwhelming sense of being judged, of being criticized for something so fundamental and necessary. She begins to question whether she should have just stayed at home or gone to a more private place. But then another feeling takes over. Why should she have to hide? Why should mothers be shamed for doing something as natural as breastfeeding? Her internal conflict is palpable. On the one hand, she feels that the situation is spiraling out of her control, and leaving seems like the easiest option to avoid further conflict. But on the other hand, she knows that this moment is more than just about her. It's about defending the right to be seen and respected as a mother, to stand up for the choice to breastfeed in public, regardless of the narrow views of others. As she hesitates, unsure of what to do next, the arrival of Elon Musk changes everything. His calm presence gives her the courage to face the situation head on. As Sarah gathers her things, she's taken by surprise when a familiar, calm voice cuts through the tension. The room turns, and all eyes land on Elon Musk, who has been sitting quietly nearby. Known for his business ventures and public persona, Elon has never been someone to shy away from standing up for what he believes in. In this moment, he doesn't escalate the situation or make a spectacle of it. He simply intervenes. Elon stands up from his seat, calmly walking toward the critic. The room falls silent, and Sarah feels an immediate sense of relief, her discomfort now replaced by curiosity. Elon's presence is commanding, but his demeanor is gentle. He doesn't raise his voice or act aggressively. He simply addresses the situation with authority, speaking as though he is stating a simple truth. His intervention is not only unexpected, but deeply impactful. Elon calmly confronts the critic, pointing out that breastfeeding in public is a natural and necessary part of life. He reminds everyone in the room that public spaces should be inclusive and respectful of people's needs. And there is nothing wrong with a mother caring for her child, no matter where she is. His intervention shifts the dynamics of the situation. It's not about fighting or escalating the conflict. It's about a moment of empathy, understanding, and the importance of treating others with dignity. Elon Musk, known for his outspoken nature and readiness to challenge the status quo, does not hesitate in addressing the critic's harmful remarks. His approach is not confrontational or combative, but rather filled with a calm authority that commands respect from everyone in the room. The atmosphere, once tense and uncomfortable, is now transformed as Elon speaks directly to the critic, but also to the entire cafe, in a way that makes his stance clear. Breastfeeding is a fundamental right for mothers, Elon starts, his voice firm yet measured. It's a natural part of life, and public spaces should be inclusive of every person's basic needs, no matter how simple or mundane those needs may seem. He pauses briefly, allowing his words to sink in. His calmness, combined with the clarity of his conviction, helps diffuse the growing tension in the room. There is absolutely nothing inappropriate about feeding a child, and to make a mother feel ashamed for doing something as essential as caring for her baby is not only wrong, it's unreasonable. The words land with a profound impact, and Sarah, though still rattled by the confrontation, feels a wave of relief wash over her. Elon's words have validated what she knew in her heart to be true. Breastfeeding in public is not just a right, it's a simple, necessary act of motherhood that should be respected, not scorned. His words shift the entire mood of the cafe. What was once an uncomfortable confrontation is now becoming a moment of empowerment for Sarah, and for everyone witnessing the situation unfold. Elon doesn't stop there. He goes further, explaining the importance of creating public spaces where mothers can feel comfortable and confident in taking care of their children. He reminds everyone in the room that societal norms should evolve to reflect an understanding of the realities and challenges that people face, especially mothers. By addressing the issue directly, Elon has made it clear that this isn't just a small personal issue. It's part of a much larger conversation about acceptance, respect, and dignity for all individuals. Throughout his speech, Elon remains poised and composed. His words resonate not just with Sarah, but with everyone present. In a few short sentences, he has reframed the entire situation, putting things into perspective and highlighting the absurdity of the critics' objections. The power of Elon's voice and influence cannot be understated. He has single-handedly shifted the dynamic of the encounter, showing that standing up for what's right doesn't require grand gestures or public drama. It requires a calm, unwavering commitment to decency and respect. The critic, caught off guard by Elon's intervention, tries to respond but falters. His words stumble, and his posture betrays his discomfort. He quickly retreats, mumbling something about decency and appropriate behavior. But no one listens to him anymore. The room has already sided with Elon's perspective, and the critic, realizing he has lost the battle, walks away in defeat. For Sarah, this is a turning point. She had been on the verge of retreating in embarrassment, but now she feels emboldened. Elon Musk's simple yet powerful defense of her rights has not only restored her confidence, but it has made her realize that she doesn't have to hide in shame. She has every right to breastfeed her child in public, and no one, not even a stranger with outdated ideas, can take that away from her. The critic, who had previously been so confident in his disapproval, now finds himself on the defensive. As soon as Elon Musk steps in, the balance of the situation shifts, and the critic's bravado begins to crumble. The older man tries to gather himself, but it's clear that he's been caught off guard. His face turns red with a mix of anger and embarrassment as he attempts to justify his earlier remarks, but his words lack conviction. Look, the critic starts, fumbling with his words. I just think there are places for that kind of thing, you know? It's just not something people want to see in public. He pauses, trying to regain some control over the conversation, but Elon doesn't let him off the hook. Elon's calm yet firm response continues to echo in the cafe, making it clear that the critic's position is not valid. You don't get to decide what is appropriate for others, especially when it comes to basic human rights, Elon retorts. Respect for others is about understanding their needs and accommodating them. No one should feel ashamed for doing something as natural as breastfeeding in public. What's inappropriate is the lack of empathy and respect you're showing here today. The critic stumbles over his words once more, his attempt to defend his position crumbling under the weight of Elon's logic and moral clarity. It's evident that he has lost the crowd's support. The other patrons, who had been silently observing the confrontation, now exchange looks of agreement. Some even nod in silent approval of Elon's intervention. The critic, realizing he's not going to win this argument, mutters a few half-hearted words under his breath and walks away. The cafe's atmosphere immediately shifts from discomfort and tension to relief and calm. In that moment, the power of Elon Musk's intervention cannot be understated. He didn't just shut down a rude, outdated perspective. He also gave Sarah the space and dignity to continue her experience in peace. Sarah, though still processing the events of the past few minutes, feels empowered. Elon's willingness to step up for what was right has given her the courage to stay, to finish her coffee, and to carry on with her day with renewed confidence. With the critic gone, the cafe's atmosphere begins to shift. The tension that had once filled the room dissipates, replaced by a sense of solidarity and support for Sarah. She feels an overwhelming wave of relief wash over her. What had started as a deeply uncomfortable situation has now transformed into a moment of personal triumph. The fact that Elon Musk, one of the most influential figures in the world, chose to stand up for her, someone he didn't even know, fills her with gratitude. Sarah looks at Elon, her heart full of appreciation. She had been on the verge of leaving, feeling humiliated and ashamed, but now she feels a renewed sense of pride. Elon's words, calm yet powerful, have validated her choice to breastfeed her child in public. She knows that the discomfort she initially felt wasn't about her. It was about the outdated perceptions of others that fail to understand the normalcy of breastfeeding. Thank you, Sarah says softly, her voice trembling slightly. She's still processing the support she's just received, and the impact of Elon's words and actions is beginning to sink in. Elon smiles at her, offering a reassuring nod. You have every right to be here, just like anyone else. And you shouldn't feel the need to hide what you're doing. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. Sarah's gratitude is palpable. She had expected a simple cup of coffee on a quiet day, not the whirlwind of emotions that had just unfolded. But now she feels stronger than before. Her confidence in her right to care for her child, wherever she is, has been restored. And more than that, she has gained an ally, a public figure who, by standing up for what's right, has made a tangible difference in her life. Elon's simple gesture of kindness and respect has not only empowered Sarah, but has reminded everyone in the cafe that respect for others' choices is a fundamental part of what makes society a more inclusive and compassionate place. The immediate aftermath of the confrontation is felt by everyone in the coffee shop. What began as an uncomfortable and tense situation quickly evolves into a powerful moment of solidarity, not just for Sarah, but for everyone witnessing the interaction. As the critic retreats, muttering under his breath, the air in the cafe seems to clear, as if a heavy weight has been lifted. Patrons, who had once been quietly observing, now turn to each other with expressions of quiet agreement, and a sense of warmth spreads throughout the room. The once awkward silence, which had followed the critic's outburst, is replaced with murmurs of appreciation. Some customers, who had been unsure whether to intervene, exchange approving glances. A few even smile at Sarah, offering small nods or words of encouragement, acknowledging the shared understanding that what had transpired was wrong. The cafe, which had briefly felt like a battleground, now feels like a space where mutual respect and empathy are honored. This shift is palpable and deep, far beyond just the incident between Sarah and the critic. Elon Musk's intervention, though brief, has set the tone for the entire room. His calm demeanor and firm stand against the critic's harsh judgment have acted as a catalyst for change. It is not just about defending a mother's right to breastfeed in public. It is about encouraging the entire community to stand against judgment and for respect. The power of this intervention is not in the words themselves, but in the way they challenge the ingrained prejudices many people unknowingly hold. Elon's approach is not about force, but about providing a model of how to peacefully confront disrespect with dignity. Sarah, who had been quietly crumbling under the weight of the critics' disapproval, now finds herself with renewed strength. She can feel the shift in the atmosphere around her. People who had once been silently watching the exchange now seem to be more aware of her. They're no longer just patrons in a coffee shop. They are human beings who, by witnessing this small act of kindness, are reminded of the power of empathy. The negative energy that had once pervaded the room dissipates, leaving a sense of hope and unity. There is now a collective understanding that this moment matters, that by standing up for each other, society can push back against the stigmas that still persist. For Sarah, this shift is nothing short of profound. No longer is she just a mother trying to feed her child in a public space. She is a symbol of what it means to challenge societal norms and take ownership of her rights without apology. The quiet support of those around her, combined with Elon's intervention, reinforces her belief that she should never again be made to feel ashamed for nurturing her child. As the cafe resumes its usual rhythm, Sarah feels a sense of empowerment, knowing that this moment will ripple out far beyond this one incident. The lesson here is not just about breastfeeding or public decency. It is about standing up for what is right, even when doing so is uncomfortable or unpopular. The ripple effect of this act will carry on through the day, and perhaps far beyond that, reminding everyone that small acts of empathy can shift a community's perspective. In the hours following the incident, the story spreads like wildfire across social media platforms. It's not just a simple exchange in a coffee shop. What happened in that moment captured the hearts of many and resonated deeply with people from all walks of life. The hashtag #SupportBreastfeeding quickly starts trending as individuals who were present in the cafe share their stories and photos, offering their support for both Sarah and Elon. The power of social media amplifies the message, and soon the narrative takes on a life of its own. News outlets, blogs, and social media influencers pick up the story, praising Elon Musk for his stance on public breastfeeding and acknowledging the courage Sarah displayed in the face of public shaming. People are fascinated not just by the celebrity intervention, but by the everyday act of standing up for what is right. Elon's involvement adds a layer of weight and credibility to the conversation, but the focus remains firmly on the importance of respecting mothers' rights and the normalization of breastfeeding in public spaces. Within hours, individuals who have never met Sarah or Elon Musk are joining in the conversation. People share their personal experiences of breastfeeding in public, reflecting on the judgments they've faced and the struggles of navigating societal expectations. For many women, this moment becomes a rallying cry, a chance to highlight the ongoing challenges mothers face when it comes to exercising their rights in public. The response is overwhelmingly positive, with messages of support flooding in from around the world. The conversation expands to broader issues of women's rights, bodily autonomy, and societal expectations. Advocates for women's health and breastfeeding rights champion the story as a powerful example of how public spaces can become more inclusive. The story moves beyond just one moment in one cafe. It becomes a discussion about the larger cultural shift needed to normalize breastfeeding, end stigmas surrounding motherhood, and create spaces where women's needs are respected, understood, and embraced. This viral reaction transcends any one social media platform. The story circulates across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, sparking conversations in the comments sections, during live chats, and even informal debates. The hashtag Elon Defends Mothers also trends, reinforcing the idea that public figures can play an influential role in sparking important conversations about societal norms. The combination of Elon Musk's high-profile involvement and Sarah's bravery in the face of criticism results in an overwhelming surge of support from diverse corners of the globe. What initially felt like an isolated incident in a coffee shop becomes a movement, a collective shift towards greater acceptance and respect for women. As the conversation spreads, mothers everywhere feel emboldened to stand up for their rights, knowing that the actions of one man and the willingness of many to speak out have created a platform for voices that have long been silenced or overlooked. The incident in the coffee shop, sparked by one act of courage and one simple intervention, becomes a defining moment in the ongoing conversation about women's rights, societal expectations, and respect in public spaces. Elon Musk's unexpected support for Sarah and the subsequent viral wave of support for breastfeeding mothers leaves a lasting legacy that continues to impact the conversation around public decency, equality, and respect. As the months go by, the effects of that day are felt in various ways. Policies in some public spaces are revisited, and some communities begin to implement clear guidelines that support mothers who choose to breastfeed in public. The broader impact on public opinion is undeniable. What was once seen as controversial or inappropriate is now becoming increasingly normalized, and discussions about breastfeeding rights are more widespread than ever before. For Sarah, this act of kindness and validation from Elon Musk has not only helped her in a personal way, but has contributed to a cultural shift in how society views motherhood. No longer is she just a mother feeding her child in public. She is a part of a much larger movement advocating for women's rights, bodily autonomy, and respect for the choices that women make in their everyday lives. For Elon, this moment serves as a reminder of the influence public figures can have in shaping important conversations. Though his intervention was brief, his willingness to speak out for what's right continues to inspire individuals across the globe. His stance on the issue of breastfeeding is a statement of his broader commitment to advocating for equality, respect, and inclusion. Ultimately, this small moment in a coffee shop becomes an emblem of a much larger societal change, a change in which women's rights, respect for personal choices, and the normalization of natural acts like breastfeeding in public spaces are no longer debated but embraced. The legacy of this event will continue to inspire others for years to come, teaching a valuable lesson about empathy, leadership, and the importance of standing up for what is right.